This is Chris with Dive Zone Scuba for another technical diving tips, techniques, and trips video.
Hello divers, this is Chris with Dive Zone Scuba. In today's video, we're going to discuss things that I wish my technical diving instructor had told me. This is actually a compilation of many hours of discussion with technical instructor trainers, technical instructors, and also technical diving students.
The first thing that you need to know when conducting technical dive training is the location. You may choose to do the training locally or at another destination. There are many destinations with significant technical dive training. These include Florida in the United States, Bonaire in the Netherlands Antilles, north of South America, Egypt in the Middle East, Malta in the Mediterranean, and the Philippines in Southeast Asia. If you choose a different destination for your dive training, one of the major considerations is the local conditions such as weather. This is particularly important if your trip is of limited duration. I once considered doing some technical dive training in Florida until I learned that we would have to travel 8 hours north in the case of inclement weather, as the boats could not run in the case of high wind and seas. For that training, I ultimately ended up in Bonaire, where lower level technical dive training depths can be easily reached right off the shore. Some divers may prefer to do their training locally. If there is a local body of water that supports technical dive training, that is certainly an option. Another possibility is to do the first part of the technical dive course locally and then finish the course with the open water dives at a different destination. An obvious important thing that you need to know involves your potential instructor.
As a technical diving instructor myself, there are some other technical diving instructors that I would not want to take a course from. There are also students that I, as a technical diving instructor, would not want to instruct. And there are also probably some technical diving instructors that would not want to take a course from themselves. So, instructor-student compatibility is a very important issue for technical diving instruction. This does not necessarily mean that the instructor is a bad instructor or the student is a bad student. It's just to reinforce the fact that compatibility is very important.
Another thing that has to do with the instructor is that you should verify that they are certified to teach the course you're interested in taking. I kid you not when I say there was a dive shop who tried to have me enroll in a technical diving course for which their instructor was not certified to instruct. TDI actually has an area on their website where you can actually look up and see if a particular instructor is certified to teach a particular course. Hopefully, Patty's version will soon have this capability. One of the first things that potential technical divers should consider is expense. Technical diving can be very expensive in comparison to recreational diving, and some divers consider recreational diving already expensive. As the joke goes, the first stop on your path to technical diving is your bank. There is some truth to this, as you cannot compromise on safety in the interest of economy. The actual course tuition can actually be a very small part of the expenses. Here's the price list for different technical diving courses where I received my student level technical dive training. Don't forget round-trip airfare if you're going to be taking your training at another destination. You might even need a place to stay. And we haven't even started to discuss the cost of equipment. If you're not yet discouraged, then it's time to begin talking about the next subject. So, once you've committed to taking technical dive training, you need to do some knowledge preparation. TDI has knowledge quest questions, and PADI has knowledge reviews. Answering these questions are critical to your understanding of technical diving. Some students only begin addressing these questions when their course starts. These should actually be started months in advance and completed well before the start of the course date. A number of technical diving instructors that I've spoken with have delayed the start of a course because students did not complete the knowledge review or knowledge quest questions in advance. Don't be surprised if your instructor requires you to send an image of your questions prior to the course. May even be canceled if you show up without completing your questions. While you are working on your knowledge quest or knowledge review questions in preparation for your course, another question will come up. This is the issue of practicing in advance versus learning things incorrectly. This is something that you should thoroughly discuss with your instructor. If you practice things in advance, there is a distinct possibility that you will learn things incorrectly. If that happens, it becomes very difficult for the instructor to retrain you so that you are executing the skills correctly. A perfect example of this is the valve drill. Do you do the DIR version or the non-DIR version? Do you use one hand or two hands? The same pertains to the assembly of equipment. I once had a student who assembled a set of doubles by watching a YouTube video. Unfortunately, the student watched the wrong video. The student said the video told him to turn the manifold 4 times during the assembly process. While that may have worked for the person in the video, it definitely didn't work for the student. This created a definite safety issue with unnatural stresses being placed on the manifold. There was a definite possibility of a manifold failure if the diver had used these tanks. So make sure you contact your instructor to see how much or how little preparation you should conduct. Technical diving requires a lot of equipment. If you have been diving for some time, you may have amassed a significant amount of gear. Some of the gear you may be able to recycle for your technical diving course. This applies to regulators, and particularly if they have DIN fittings. Some gear has no place at all in technical diving, so don't annoy your instructor by trying to get them to allow you to use it. Be prepared to buy new and sometimes expensive technical diving gear. Instead of rushing out and buying the incorrect gear on the internet, you should consult with your technical diving instructor on what to purchase. Some technical diving instructors, particularly those associated with a technical dive shop, prefer you buy nothing in advance. This is to prevent you from making a costly purchasing mistake. We subscribe to the philosophy of buy once, cry once, and the cheap man pays twice, or in the case of technical diving, possibly 3 times. Many students have been unable to complete their technical diving course because they brought with them inappropriate or unmaintainable gear. This has happened with my students on at least 3 occasions. The first incident involved a computer, the second a regulator, and the third a plate and wing. So if you want to maximize the probability of successfully completing your technical diving course, listen to your instructor. This is Chris with Dive Zone Scuba. I hope this video is helpful. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe.